You are listening to Feed 44, the official podcast channel of the Center for a Stateless Society. C4SS is an anarchist think tank and media center. For more information, please visit c4ss.org.
Just When I Managed to Stop Laughing by Kevin Carson. Posted on c4ss.org on April 25, 2015, and read by Joey Clark. Just when I'd managed to get control of my laughter over the Obama is a Marxist trope, he held red study circles where he read quotations from Chairman Mao with Geithner, Rubin, and Summers, presumably. David Harsanyi accuses Hillary Clinton of quote-unquote class warfare. I may have to buy a truss. Apparently, in a meeting with economists, she, quote-unquote, intensely studied a chart of the plutocracy's exploding income and commented that it was necessary to, quote-unquote, topple the 1% for the good of the economy. To his credit, Harsanyi doesn't actually believe Clinton is a class warrior. He suggests she doesn't mean a word of it. A reasonable inference considering that one or two of her speaking fees would put someone in the top 1% she talks about toppling. On the downside, though, in denouncing her rhetoric, he regurgitates all the standard right-wing talking points about class warfare. So really we have two utterly inane sides to root against here. First, Clinton. As Harsanyi points out, she's well into the top 1%. In fact, she's typical of the managerial professional types that have come to dominate the 1% and kick the traditional rentier classes who derive their income from concentrated wealth up into the top 1/10 of 1%. Most of the top 1% today are senior corporate management, high-paid attorneys, and other professionals, reflecting the growing managerialization of American society and the incorporation of a white-collar new class into the old plutocratic elite. And the effect of this class on society it oversees is almost uniformly pernicious. As evidenced by the career of Clinton herself, whether as a tool of Walmart and Monsanto in her Rose law firm days or as an advocate for police state surveillance and drone killings in the State Department. And to accept as a quote-unquote class warrior someone who pals around with a Morgan Stanley Vice President and assures Wall Street bankers in private speeches that they're just misunderstood is a bit beyond anyone's capacity for suspension of disbelief outside of the #UniteBlue Kool-Aid cult. Like a lot of Democrats, Clinton is great at churning out soccer mom rhetoric about working-class families around the kitchen table on demand. But the best way of judging what she'd actually do as president is not what she says with her mouth, but what she's doing with her hands meanwhile. For example, although she's carefully avoided making any definite statements about her position on the issue, close Clinton associates in the economic policy world express confidence that she supports the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And that's another thing. She's pretty good at avoiding straight answers to tough questions on most anything. Witness the way she puts on her best "I'm glad you asked me that question" smile whenever she's asked about her emails, or Clinton Foundation donations, or her latest story on those issues, or the landing under fire in Bosnia thing is revealed to be, prevarication within days. But if anyone can manage to come across as even more disingenuous than Clinton, it's Harsanyi. First of all, it takes a lot of gall to whine about quote-unquote class warfare when we're in one. And it's the top 1% waging it against us. And to dismiss negative comments about the top 1% as quote-unquote zero-sum is begging the question. It assumes that people in the top 1% didn't get rich at our expense, something Harsanyi asserts without backing up. But the top 0.1% make their money almost entirely off rents on assorted state-enforced monopolies or direct subsidies. And the managers and professionals down in the rest of the 1% are mostly either members of professional licensing cartels or hired overseers for the rentier classes. So take your pick. The next president will either be a Democrat who talks populist talk about the 1% or a Republican who uses all kinds of fake free market rhetoric. And either one will become the newest presiding officer over the executive committee of the corporate ruling class. Politicians are all class warriors. For the other side.
You've been listening to Feed 44, the official podcast channel of the Center for a Stateless Society. C4SS is an anarchist think tank and media center. For more information, please visit c4ss.org.